Hello there, this is a quick demo of the Launchpad MegaMini, the project I've been working on. This is one of the first videos I'm going to demonstrate and show you how far I've got with the project. I'm going to run through a few of the modes of operation the device has and talk a little bit about it. So first of all, I'm going to run the piece of software that does the translation with the Launchpad. So as you can see, I've got a small bug with the way that startup sequence works, but hey ho, it's an unfinished project and you're allowed bugs. So I'm going to go into one of the first modes. The modes are selected down this on the left hand side. So this is the first mode I did when I started building the device, and this is a drum kit. So I'm going to just load up a drum kit sound. Two seconds. Just going to turn that up slightly. So each of these pads is the same drum sample, each of these different coloured segments, but they all have different velocities, allowing you to get some degree of expression. Anyway, moving on. These are some virtual faders that I did. Nothing particularly interesting about these. Just 16 value faders, so they're not particularly the most useful, but still worth developing anyway. And this is the first real mode of interest. This is the sort of note mode, if you like. This is taken as inspiration from the Ableton push controller, and it's the way it does scales, which I think is really nice. So yeah, let me just switch sounds again. For the sounds, I'm using either Logic Pro 9 or I'm using a Mini Nova. I'm just switching between. So this is the Mini Nova at the moment. So there. So as you'd expect, with the same as the push, you have this is your lowest note and this is your highest note. And from the bottom here, you can select what I would call the overlap, which is the number of semitones between notes on a row. Yeah. So that's with 1 overlap, and this would be with 8 overlap. And you can go as far as 16 overlap, which is pretty pointless, but hey. And this is your... So as you can tell, this is showing you a suggested scale which you might want to play in. This at the moment is major, as indicated by the yellow, and the red indicates the octave. And the grey is obviously notes that don't really match. It's possible to change the key with this button here. Sorry, scale. So these are your scales. So major, minor, followed by a load of modes, and then some other obscure ones such as the Hungarian minor scale. So I'll put it onto blues because I like a bit of blues. And I'll switch the overlap back to something more sensible. And so, well, lots of fun. Cool. So let's take on some of the sequencers. So these here are all different types of sequencers that I've been developing, but this is the one I'm particularly most happy with. So this is a 16-step sequencer. Down the right-hand side here, you can set the speed. So I'm going to make it a bit faster. Make the camera a bit blurry. Let me refocus. Anyway, so like any step sequencer, you input the notes, as so, and as you go up vertically, it changes the pitch. And these are all quantized to the scale that you select with this window here. So let's select a different scale. Okay, maybe not interesting, that one will do. So yeah, I'm just entering some notes into my sequence. The good thing about this is I can actually copy and paste the sequence, though it's hard to see. On this right hand side here, there is, on the lower right hand side, you can actually hold one sequence to copy it to another. So now I can switch between my first two sequences now be a copy of each other, and the third one is obviously empty, so I can now put in a new sequence. And the beauty of this is that along the bottom here I have another 16 little round buttons, and I can use that to chop the sequence. By just holding any two of them, the marker will jump between the two and not any further. So just from a simple sequence I can actually make quite a lot of different sounds and different patterns. Anyway, let's go into the next mode. So this is what I would call the auto baseline generator. This is a prototype of another thing I've been working on. So let's just hit the play button. So these along here are your pitches, and down the vertical axis are your patterns. Anyway, probably needs some more work. This is just another idea I've been working with. This is kind of a mono-me patch that I took called the Polynome, which is a kind of an arpeggiator. So it does something a bit like this. And each one of these is kind of an arpeggiated chord, I think. Might be a scale, I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, and the last thing I really want to bring you on to is the thing I've been working on the most, which is a very big drum sequencer. So I'm just going to stop the clock for a minute and change sounds. Going to go for the headbanger kit. So this is another idea I've taken from the Ableton Push controller. So in your bottom left quadrant you have your voice selection, which is looks a bit like this selection, but much smaller. So you have your kick, anyway, we'll start by entering some kicks. So I have a 64-step sequencer here, which is quite nice. Now if I want to enter my snare drums, I just hit them next to the snare drum pad. And you'll notice that the bass drums have now moved down to the lower 64, which gives you a point of reference for when you want to enter your snare drums. This bottom right hand quadrant here is where you actually select what current pattern you're playing in, and it also allows you to chop the sequence up. So all of these along the top here will be the same sequence, and you can just select the start and end points quite quickly, which is quite nice for doing the end fill, for instance, or just playing the first 8 beats. This makes the pattern a bit more interesting. Once again, we can do the copy paste, which is a bit easy to see. So there you are, the same drum kit on that pattern. But this time I'm going to take this pattern and I'm going to add some toms in. And for this, I want to audition just the last 8 notes. So. There you are. All good fun. So that's it for the moment. That's all I really wanted to show you. This is a continuous project, so the project will evolve and I will inevitably end up making more things and fixing more bugs. It's a shame about some of the letter feedback on the sides here. It's quite hard to see because of the camera angle and because a lot of it doesn't actually do anything yet, so the clock isn't. It's just this button here, but you can't see it. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Cheers.